Today, I'm joined by a great friend of mine, a friend of the podcast, Jet Perry, an artist, a pioneer, a revolutionary in the music industry.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. No, his album's about to drop, From Stanford with Love. We're both Stanford natives. He's interviewed me when my album dropped, and now we're here interviewing you for yours.
Yes, sir. Yeah, boy. I appreciate you having me, bro. It's always fun to jump on the pod and start podding.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. What was the last time we did this? This was for 50 states, right?
We might have done 50 states. I don't know if we ended up doing like a year-end one. We might have, though. We've done a couple, though. You've been on the podcast more than anybody else. That I know.
Okay. From what I can remember, I think it was 50 states. Yeah, it's and then we did one for Head Nurse when I dropped Head Nurse. So yeah, From Stanford with Love. I'm back. I'm better than ever, and I got a blue suit. So rolling.
It's funny. This album gives me hope for you.
Okay.
No,
Elaborate.
I mean this like respectfully too, because you're coming off your release, Head Nurse. That was like last year or the year before.
That was October 24.
24, right? So, and now you're following up now From Stanford with Love, and the reason why it gives me hope for you is because one, I'm seeing you consistent. Because there's a lot of people out here that'll talk about releasing music, and you know that artist that's like always talking about, but the fact that you're actually doing it gives me hope. You know what I mean? That as a thing. And, I actually had the opportunity to listen to the full album. Pretty good, dude. It's pretty good.
I appreciate that.
You already know some of my favorite records on there, and we'll talk about it. But yeah, man, like when I listen to like Vice Lavelle, for example, my favorite song on the album, dude.
Just any random song title, yeah.
Dude, I really love that song. But when I listen to that song, I'm like, yo, it's pretty good. Like Jet might have one here, so it gives me hope for you.
No,
you know what I mean?
I appreciate that.
And I think that if I was to bet money on any of my friends to be next up, it would be you off of your work ethic, your grind. I see you put in the hours just trying to make this happen, for everything from the videos to the album release party to the cover art to the way that you're pushing the album. Thank you for tuning in to the Mike Squires and Friends podcast. You can support by subscribing on YouTube or downloading on your preferred podcast platform. And definitely go do that because it helps us grow and I can have more incredible guests on the podcast. The Mike Squires and Friends podcast is proudly sponsored by Distrokid. Looking to broaden your musical horizons as an artist? Discover Distrokid. With its smooth and rewarding music distribution platform, Distrokid offers unlimited uploads while ensuring artists retain 100% of their royalties and earnings. Join the community of over 1 million artists who trust Distrokid to distribute their music across major platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, TikTok, Tidal, and so many others. Having personally used Distrokid since 2018, I can attest to their superiority amongst distribution services. Collaborating with fellow artists has become effortless, especially with the ability to easily send splits of songs, streamlining the creative process. With the Distrokid app, accessing these benefits is now more convenient than ever. Safely sign up or log in with two-factor authentication, upload releases on the fly, monitor earnings, and withdraw funds from your Distrokid bank. Stay updated on royalties through push notifications, effortlessly share hyperfollow links, manage account details seamlessly, and track streaming stats from Spotify and Apple. Additionally, explore Mixia for professional-grade mastering, DistroVid for music video distribution, and Instant Share for secure file sharing with collaborators, producers, and more. The Distrokid app is available on both iOS and Android. Download it today from the App Store or Google Play Store to revolutionize your music career. Visit distrokid.com/VIP/Mike Squires to get 30% off your first year membership. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of Mike Squires and Friends. You're doing direct to consumer. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. So basically, you're familiar with LaRussell. LaRussell, he's been on this basically a promo tour before his album drops, right? He's dropping an album. I don't even know when it comes out at this point, but he's been getting a lot of attention for the pre-order run he's been on. He's got his album available on a website called Even, and people are pre-ordering it. When they pre-order it, they get some of the tracks, and it's a direct-to-consumer website. So I don't know. I think he might actually be giving out the full album for those who like pay a certain amount of money, but I'm not 100% familiar with that. But all I know is that he's been getting a lot of headlines because people are spending money on music again, it seems. And that's the whole point of this website. Even like they're allowing artists to have a platform to sell their music, return the value back to them, because, you know, if we're being honest, music has been devalued in the last few years. People would just rather stream any song, any album they want since the beginning of recorded music. You know what I mean? And I can't blame them for that. You know, it's the easiest option. But, you know, it's hard when you're an artist because you work on projects, you work on songs, et cetera, et cetera. You put it out, and then, you know, you might get a couple streams, but you could sink thousands of dollars into an album and then not get that ROI. Not saying it's all about ROI. If you choose to do music, you're going to lose money. Like, let's be honest. But it's nice to be able to get some type of compensation for your hard work. And so what I've been doing this full week, this is Saturday, so for the next week, I'm giving people an opportunity to get the album for essentially a week early. If you pre-order, pay what you want, starting at $1. You can pay anywhere from $1, $5, $10, $100, $200, you know, and yeah, you know, it's basically a way to empower artists to try and value themselves as a business. Because I feel like artists now, because art has been so devalued, you know, I feel like the collective consciousness on that for artists has been like, just create, just put out the music, express yourself. That's all great. You should do that. You should express yourself. You should put out the art, but you should also be getting paid for your art. Plain and simple, especially if you're good. And also, I'm good.
I think you nailed it right on the head with empowering the artist, because I mean, how many artists do you know that are incredibly talented, but you know, their content or like they just haven't got into these algorithms, so they're not getting the shine that they deserve.
And I'm a victim of it. You know, I'm a slave to the algorithms, unfortunately. We all are. You know, if you have a week where, you know, you don't post, then when you do post, they're hiding you. You know, your own followers aren't seeing a lot of the posts and content that you have. And I could tell just by the conversations I'll have with people. They'll be like, yo, you still doing XYZ? You still putting out music? Yeah, bro, I post often. Oh, I never see your shit. Like, you know, but it's like, you follow me, you know, so the algorithm's not even pushing it to your own followers. So, you know, this is a way to try and move past algorithms. It's a way to try and, you know, return the value to your own music. You know, if you work on something for a long time, I've been working on this album for like 3.5 years. And even if you're not working on it for a long time, if you're putting your effort into music and you put it out, you should be getting financially compensated in some way. I'm not saying you got to be making $100,000 off every album, but you know, this is just a way to obviously take care of myself and try and get a little bit of ROI on my work, but also genuinely trying to motivate anybody else, my fellow artists who are like my fellow friends who are artists, or just any random person who's an artist and sees what I'm doing online, trying to empower them to value themselves again. You know,
yeah.
If you're good at what you do and you feel like people should be able to support you financially, then don't be afraid to say it. You know, I think as artists, like we're afraid to ask for money, and it's not asking for money, but it's just, you know, you're trying to return value. You're trying to establish yourself as a business, and that's what you are.
And if you want to survive as an artist, you have to figure out what works for you. And that's like something that I've like always preached. Like, what works for somebody might not work for you. Like, you know, the Mike Squires approach that's worked for me might not work for Jet Perry. You know what I mean? So it's kind of just figuring out like a system that just works for you. but I want to get to talking to the album, dude.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
So From Stanford with Love.
Well, real quick, sorry to cut you off.
No.
If you do want to check out the album early, before the 14th, and I am dropping February 14th, you can check it out at even.biz/From Stanford with Love. He'll link it somewhere.
It'll be the top link in the description.
Okay, yeah, it'll be the top link. So, if you guys want to go check it out, you pay what you want, by the way. I'm not setting a value. I'm not saying, hey, pay $20 to get my album. You pay what you want starting at $1. If you feel like my album's worth $1, it is in your right to give me $1. If you feel like my album's worth $100, it is in your right to give me $100. And whatever it is, we are grateful. We appreciate it because at the end of the day, like I said, it's about establishing some type of value with your art. And in streaming, Spotify, Apple Music, they don't care. It's a business model. They're giving you 1/8 of a penny per stream. To even make $1 in streaming, what would that have to be?
It's I know 1,000 streams is $4, so 250 streams.
Yeah, so you'd have to get
on Spotify.
You'd have to get 250 streams to make $1. So, artists, value yourselves. We artists devalued nowadays, so bring the value back to the work.
Yeah. We got to talk about this album, dude.
Let's talk about the album.
That's why I'm really here, because what is the story of From Stanford with Love?
So basically, From Stanford with Love, it's a bit of a loose narrative. You got to listen to kind of pick up on the arc, but essentially it's about the arc that I went through romantically from 2020 until I want to say like 2024. And, it covers a whole range of experiences I've had with women, but certain women in my lives.
Can you elaborate?
Yeah, I sure. Yeah, I can. It talks about the roller coaster that is love, essentially. For 3-4 years, I was entangled, as Jada Pinkett would say. I was entangled in a bit of a love triangle, and I've grown since then. Obviously, I'm in a different space now, but it was a rare moment where I was in love with two people at the same time, and at certain points in the story, they both don't know about that. Some points in the story, they both do know about that. And it was a pretty significant time in my life. And it definitely changed my perspective on the way I looked at love and romance and all that. So, From Stanford with Love is essentially a time capsule of that time period, and an audio summary of it. Some of my friends, they know the story in detail, but these 12 tracks are basically me explaining it to those of you who don't know me in audio form. So, it was pretty eye-opening. Some people got hurt, some feelings got hurt for sure. Including myself. I didn't get out unscathed, but a pretty good album came out of it, and I feel like any life events that inspire some good art, I'd say it was worth it.
Yeah, you said your perspective changed on love. How so?
You can hear it in the beginning of the album. The album starts with a song called Grandmaster, and produced by my boy Q. Shout out to Matt Euquilis in my band. He produced Grandmaster, the opening track. Grandmaster, it starts as like a big epic. It kind of reminds me like a James Bond movie, like an older James Bond movie. There's some girls on the hook saying, Grandmaster, who you coming after? It's like this big blaxploitation feeling track. I'm pimping on the first track, and then the next track is SCIA with my boy Doss, the sexiest city in America, which the whole hook is me basically repeating, "You look like my next ex-girlfriend." So the beginning of the album kind of starts as me being this like player, womanizer type, not really giving any thought to taking anyone seriously romantically. I'm just going through the motions, meeting people, dealing with them, carrying on. And to a certain extent, that was my life prior to 2020. And there's a track on there with my guy, Kevin George, called The Moment, which is the moment that the whole perspective, the whole trajectory of the album changes. And every track from that point on, it's either reflecting on my current feelings or reflecting on past feelings that I've had involving one of these two women or any other women I had dealt with in that time span. So yeah, it's a bit of a character arc, and it's a loose story with there's some like interweaving narratives on there. My boy Max, he has some vocal skits on there. There's like a bunch of different voicemails and whatnot from various different women. So it's an interesting experience, the album, and it was an interesting experience going through it in real life.
I was gonna say, how did this love triangle come to be?
Without going into extreme, I don't know how transparent I can be. I guess
As comfortable as you want to be.
Well, so basically, I hope I didn't hit that. Did I hit that? Okay. Basically, 2020 was lockdown, right? That year, March 2020, I was working at a place. We're not gonna get too in detail. I'll say it. I was working at Stanford. Shout out to UConn. Shout out to the Huskies. Shout out to CT. You already know, best college basketball in the nation. I was working at Stanford. Met somebody there, and this was like a few weeks prior to the lockdown. We were talking. The world stops, and nobody else has anything else to do. So you get to know somebody, right? Every day, you start talking. You get to know them. Walls get broken down, and feelings start to develop. And I started to, we started to have something. It wasn't like a relationship, like technically, but it was something. But it wasn't official. And something happened at some point during that year that I'll say it changed the trajectory of the situation. And I'm not pointing fingers. It wasn't something I did, but I guess that is me pointing fingers. If it's two people, then and one's eliminated, but because of that, I wanted to remove myself from that situation. So to try and do that, what's the way that everybody tries to get over somebody? Talking to somebody else. Started talking to somebody else. That somebody else, that happened to grow a lot. And simultaneously, I'm patching things up with the person who was the previous situation. At a certain point, before you know it, I look up and now I'm entangled basically in two relationships at the same time. And, that's where the story really begins. That's where the fun part happens. Not fun for anybody involved. Like I said, I'm a changed man, but,
when you were going through that,
just being transparent.
Yeah. But when you were going through that, did you what were you feeling? Was it like guilt, or is it just like...
So on your track, Vice Lavelle's Broken Hearts Club, I kind of shortly reflect on that. At various points in the album, I reflect on that situation. I went through a lot of emotions. I felt a lot of guilt, but there were also times, if I'm being honest, I felt a rush. I was like, you know what? Yeah, you're a 25-year-old young man. with testosterone. It's like, yo, I'm the man, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, obviously looking at it now, you know, you can reflect on that situation and say, you know, that was not cool. That was not cool. But yeah, I felt a lot of guilt, felt a lot of, I felt a lot of confidence from it. I felt sadness. I felt just I went through a whole roller coaster of emotions, and so did everybody else involved. But you know, I did learn a lot, and that's not, you know, I never thought I would be able to experience love per se. I wouldn't, you know, not to sound too dramatic, I didn't know if that was in the cards for me, you know, like, I never knew what that felt like genuine love. And then bada bing, bada boom, before you knew it, you experienced that twice simultaneously. I was having a debate with one of my boys about this, and he was saying that you can't love two people at the same time. What are your thoughts on that?
Me? I mean, like love is such an interesting thing to me, and I think there's like, I think you can, but like maybe not in the way that you're referring to, because it's like, you know, there's a lot, like I got a lot of love for people where but you're talking more like an intimate relationship.
Yeah.
Because I'm saying like obviously I love all my family and stuff,
but and like obviously
I actually agree
you
with
wouldn't have any like experience in that field, but just from like the outside looking in, like would you say that that's?
I would agree, because I would agree with your friend that you can't love two people at the same time, because if you truly loved one person, like I love Sarah, respectfully, like I wouldn't do anything to hurt her. You know what I mean?
No, that is his argument too. That was literally his argument.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, hey,
but feelings are complicated.
I was
too,
doing
so,
things
you know,
out of spite too, though, because like I said, that situation that happened that changed the trajectory. That was something that was, you know, I was done a little dirty, and me trying to spite that person because of those actions, unfortunately, grew a situation that grew out of control with somebody else. I brought somebody else into the mess that didn't need to be involved, and now we're all in this whirlwind, and it gets messy, you know?
So what happened with the whirlwind? You know, like what did this look like going? Like, was there a moment where they found out about each other? Did you tell them? Like, and what did that look like? And
it was they found out because I had eventually just been honest. I told one of them, and they removed themselves from the situation at first. Not like, this is before the situation with the second person like really grew out of control, right? I just told them like, yo, this person's in the picture, just letting you know. And the second person was like, okay, like, you know, they were like, what does this mean? I felt like I needed to make the decision to say, hey, like, I'll leave you out of it. So my initial like intentions were good. I'm going to spare you from this situation. But eventually things happen, you circle back, and you stay involved with both at the same time. You know, I'm like, this whole, oh, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Why would I have the cake if I can't eat it? You know what I mean? That's how I felt at the time, of course. Like, you know, not me anymore. But yeah, I had my cake and I wanted to eat it too. And it got messy. It got real messy. And you know,
we say it got real messy. Is that something that you could elaborate on?
I won't elaborate too much. I'll wait till February 14th. But for people to hear and have their own perspective. But yeah, I think all three parties involved came out of that on the other side different than they did entering it, like drastically, including myself. Like I'll only speak for myself, actually. The other two, that's like kind of a theory of mine. But with myself, I definitely, I've grown a lot as a person, and just the way that, like I said, that I view love and romance because I didn't take it serious at one point. I just feel like it was just like, that's not something I care about. I've always been on this laser focused mission with music and entertainment. So I was like, man, like I ain't got time to da 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 da. If it comes to it, it comes to it. I deal with different shorties at different times, but it was like nothing serious really. I've really had like maybe 2 legit girlfriends in my life, maybe 3. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, it definitely shifted my perspective. My outlook on love is a much more matured one now. And based on the gravity and intensity of those 2 situations, when you've been to the mountaintop, you know what the mountaintop's like. So now it helps you to understand anything else before you get to that mountaintop. If that is the mountaintop, or if it's like, nah, this isn't it. This isn't how it's supposed to feel,
So how did the
It's almost indescribable too. So
yeah, I was gonna say, how did the dominoes fall in that situation? Where did it end up?
I think everybody just got tired of having their feelings hurt. Everybody got tired of being second fiddle, which sounds weird, but like, each of them were second fiddle at different points. They would literally like, it'd go from primary, it'd be like primary or secondary, then it'd switch after, however much time, because of it's so much to cover. I couldn't even like cover it in detail, but yeah, I mean, why else? You get tired of like the longest situationship ever with the same person. And this person also has another person in that he's dealing with, and they're in another situationship. So think about it. If you were in that scenario, you're going to be like, I'm fed up.
For that reason, I'm out, dude.
Yeah. But I do feel like what the actual change that happened was I made the change. Eventually, I had to make a decision because, it seemed like, some people would say, oh, I'm done, I'm out of here. And then you're right back in the same situation. I think I was the issue and the problem at a certain point in that whole shebang. So I had
like, no, come back.
Yeah, well, I was the issue. Like, there were checkpoints along the way that you can blame on different people, but at the core, the root of the whole problem eventually was me, because I was continuing to feed that issue. So eventually I had to be the one to say, like, a decision's being made. I don't want to live like this anymore. I see what it's doing to everybody involved, including myself. And, eventually I had to make a decision, and, we are currently living with the aftermath of said decision. And we will touch on that when we get into the next album. But that's a long way away, so we'll get back to From Stanford with Love.
Yeah, I want to talk. Let's bring it back to the album too. I think it was kind of important to talk about your like life story, like what you were going through alongside creating the album.
Yeah.
Just to get a better
Sorry for the long yap.
No, I think it's interesting too, because even as your homie, there are things that I didn't know about you, and like I knew that involved a love triangle, but I didn't know some of the other details. And I also think it takes a lot for a person to come on here and be like, yo, to be honest, I was part of the problem. A lot of people are like quick to like, nah, it was them, especially with relationship stuff. I see how people talk about their exes, what I mean? It's like, it was them, but like, I think there's something stand up about saying, yo, it was me.
I have a lot of respect for both of them still, I have a line that's kind of like, it's a bit, self-righteous. It's on Vice Lavelle, and I say, I've had quite a few brides for the night, whether black or white, and everything that's in between. If you a bird or you a queen, none of them would have a bad thing to say about McGee. And it's like, to a certain extent, that's true, because like I feel like I prefer to end off on cordial terms at least. Like there are people who like burn everything in their path with like their exes and stuff, and like I don't believe in that. Like, I'll never talk bad about somebody who I used to be, who I used to deal with intimately. Like, I just think that's corny. So, yeah, I got a lot of respect for both of those people for sure still. And they definitely changed me as a person, for the better, both of them for the better, and like I said, they inspired a great album. But even on the cover, like the cover kind of like there's some like storytelling on the cover. Like I'm sitting in like a kiddie pool with a bunch of women around me. But like if you look at my expression, I just look super bored. Like I'm just sitting there like, what's going on, And it's, to me, my interpretation of that is, you can be surrounded by the vanity of it all. Oh, there's a whole bunch of like pretty women around me. I'm a womanizer. I got this girl, none of that matters if it's not somebody who you connect with. That's my interpretation. It's like I'm bored because this is all vain. This is all,
No, I get you, dude. I like with, obviously I've been in a long-term relationship with Sarah, and it's like,
it's a special thing, man. Like,
oh yeah, dude.
How long you guys been together? Like
we're going on
decade?
9 years,
okay.
dude.
About to touch that decade. Yeah.
Yeah, and
yeah, getting in that territory. Yes, time to go shopping.
Well, with Sarah though too, it's like, having that. Dude, I know I could be in the worst situation, and like to just know that I have like, I like know I'm not even in the worst situation because it's like, oh, Sarah will hold it down. You know what I mean? Like she's got me. You know what I mean? So it's
plus like the way I'm describing it right now, it might sound like, oh, I'm the example of being like the toxic man, but it's like, yo, some of the situations I hear from other people, like that, you wouldn't even believe, like, people got it bad out there with love, like, or whatever you want to call it, like dealing with feelings, intimacy, and situationships, relationships, whatever it is. Like there's so many horror stories out there. So in a world where nobody is lasting the long haul, oh, you got a toxic ex, you're in a toxic relationship, she's cheating on him, he's cheating on her, et cetera, all this stuff, right? It's refreshing to see, from my perspective, a healthy, functioning relationship like you guys. You know what I mean? And you got a lucky thing, and you've had it for almost a decade, So it's I want to say it's rare in this day and age. It's becoming more and more rare to see that. I've never even seen you guys argue, fight, et cetera. So I'm sure you do, because obviously you're.
We have a very rare, dude, and it's dumb. You know what I mean? If we're it's like, so like I would say like 4 times over the course of. We get one every 2.5 years, and it's over something dumb.
Right.
You know what I mean? And, but yeah, no, very rarely fight. But why do you think that is? Why do you think like relationships don't last like
not
that?
to sound like Unc, but I think social media plays a big part in that. Like in a world where like the next thing is just a flick away, that had like a psychological effect on people. In a way, like even like the dating apps, like it's like a prime example of it. You go on like Tinder or Hinge or something, like you're literally swiping what you like and don't like. And these are just human beings. These are people who have thoughts, opinions, feelings, et cetera, et cetera. You're making like, you're making like quick time decisions based on, did her profile amuse me? Does she look good?
It goes back to these algorithms. Right. And I think one thing that I think just being aware of algorithms too, like helps like see through all the BS, dude. Right. You know what I mean? But like, especially with things like that, I think maybe feeding off what you said, like people fall in love of what it could be. You know
the
what
idea
I mean?
of it, yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like if they're like, unhappy in their situation, it's like the grass is always greener. You know what I mean? And
that's another thing. Like I feel like people don't understand what it is to be in a relationship. Really, it like it's all about the perspective, right? You go on TikTok, you go on Instagram, you see like these couples, right, that have profiles together, and you're seeing the highlight reel. That's what social media is. It's a highlight reel. You're seeing the moments, but I don't think many people know or think about how hard it is to deal with someone else in a union while you're both growing together, right? Like through the 9 years you guys have been dating, you're not dating the same Sarah that you met 9 years ago.
No, it's true.
And she's not dating the same Mike that she met 9 years ago. So like you guys have to, you're literally growing up together, and you have to like learn to adjust to that person as you guys are both going up, right? So it's like, you know, there's probably plenty of things she didn't like that you do, and vice versa. But like, oh, well, we just got to tolerate. There's like these little micro trends, like these little micro interactions in relationships, like the smallest things that, you know, people kind of overlook, but it's like, it's things like this that you have to like navigate. Plus the real life stuff. Are you there for them when they're going through a tough time and they're like disengaged for like 3-4 months at a time, going through depression, losing family members, financial problems, whatever, you know what I mean? It's like, now you got to adjust to that. It's not just like sunshine and rainbows all the time. Like it's really a journey like that y'all have to actively go on together, and basically look at each other in the face and say, no matter what is thrown at us in this journey, when we get to the end of the road, we're both going to be standing here at the end of the road. So yeah, you know, it's, and obviously that should be something that is addressed in a serious relationship, let alone a marriage. A marriage is a whole different thing. Obviously I'm not married, so I can't give my full perspective on that, but I do know just in a serious relationship, that's essentially what it is. We got to take this journey down this road, and at the end of the road, we both have to be standing here. Even if our clothes are tattered and we're beaten up and bruised, we're still standing here together.
Yeah, and I also think like there's a level of like honesty that needs to happen. One thing that I'm like grateful, same thing I'm kind of grateful with like you and a lot of my other friends, is like I know that they'll quote unquote check me if I'm wrong. You know what I mean? Sarah's the first one to tell me like, nah, like you're bugging. You know what I mean? I was like, oh. And then she'll explain like, but you know what I mean? It won't be like an offensive like, you know what I mean? She'll be like, nah, are you like, don't do that because X, Y, Z. You know what I mean? So I think just having people that are like honest with you, growing with people, like growing with somebody is so important too. And like making it past like these hurdles that you're talking about, it's like, well, if you can make past those, it's like,
I think that's a big reason as to why, you know, obviously the social media thing and seeing the idea of what a relationship looked like or it's supposed to be. But
a lot of it's a facade online, dude.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like you're seeing the most like manufactured, polished version of what a relationship is, but that's not actually what that is behind closed doors. And I think a reason why a lot of relationships do crumble is once you get past that honeymoon stage and you have to deal with the real life hurdles that involve a relationship, people changing, growing, going through all the things that life throws at you, are you gonna, it's like fight or flight. Like, are you gonna fight to stay together and continue to move through the different obstacles, or you're gonna get out of there? Oh, this is too hard. I'm gonna just, it's fine. We're not gonna do this, you know?
Yeah, and I think another thing too that like with me and Sarah, and then I want to bring it back to your album, but like, you know, it's
I mean, no, it's good. I feel like it covers,
it's in the theme of everything too, but you know, I think you just learn to love people for who they are. And, you know, I think Sarah
meet them where they're at.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think at any point, like, I mean, are there things that Sarah probably like, does she want me to maybe do the dishes a little bit faster? For sure. You know what I mean? Like, should I, you know what I mean? Should I like take out the, like little things like that?
Well,
you know what I mean?
I'm glad you bring that up because that's, speaking of my perspective, that's something that really changed about like with me dealing with two people that I respected and, you know, I had some pretty serious involvement with, I had to learn to adjust myself. And I am comfortable with me and the way that I operate. And, you know, this is how I do things. And I don't budge. This is how I think about this topic. And I don't budge. But there's a lot of give and take. And I had to learn to concede a lot. Not all battles are worth fighting. And that's
you got to pick and choose them.
You got to pick and choose them. And that's like, if that's like one thing I could like give some advice to the YNs on is like, for some reason a YN is asking me for relationship advice, there's the give and take and choose your battles wisely in a relationship, because not everything is worth it. Dude, sometimes just go wash those dishes. You know
yeah.
I mean?
No, I know. And you know what I mean? Like,
and this is me in the mirror talking to me. I'm the same way. It's like I'll argue and fight, or I'll just be very stubborn with my ways. You know, I was very stuck in my ways for a long time. But you know, as you get older, you just grow different perspective, and I think that's also a part of it. It's, you know, going through the experience plus getting older and just realizing like, what am I even fighting for? You know, it's not even worth it sometimes. So
yeah, and one thing that maybe you could touch on too, because I know this is something that Sarah deals with, is that we're in very like non-traditional career paths in the sense of like the music industry and things like, it's very taxing and time consuming.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, Sarah's never really known a non-touring music Mike Squires, you know what I mean? But like, it can be a toll on the relationship. Even right now, as we're doing this, like, you know, I left home, comfortable home with my beautiful girlfriend, Sarah, and my cat to come do a podcast right now. People don't know. It's like, what is it, 9 p.m. at night right now?
Yeah. On a Saturday night.
On a Saturday night.
You could be watching some Kill Tony or something.
That's not, you know, but it's just, there's a lot of sacrifice that goes into this.
Absolutely.
You know, what are some of the things that you felt like you've sacrificed, you know, for your music, for your career, or like things that might not have been well received by, you know, past relationships?
Some things that I've sacrificed for in my relationships, or
just any sacrifice you've had for music. You know, it could be in the relationship, but
yeah,
maybe not.
I mean, that's like a hurdle that a lot of the more casual situations I've had, they don't understand that they've had problems with it, because it's like, you really don't understand. Anybody who's like been involved with me seriously, which I would say seriously, I've had maybe three or four girlfriends or serious situations. They usually understand, because there are going to be nights where I'm in West Bumblefuck shooting a video at the studio till 3 a.m. You know, just, you know, things like that. You know, you've heard it all before from like rappers bigger than us or artists bigger than us, like about how taxing it can be for, you know, somebody who's not a creative person or an artist to be with somebody who is, because it's like, you know, though you might not be able to firsthand relate, it's like, okay, I understand and I respect it. And I, you know, that's something clearly Sarah understands about you. And she's got a lot of patience, especially with you. You're high in demand, you know what I mean? Like, even when y'all are just walking through the city or something, and it's like, yo, Mike Squires. Like, it's like having to deal with that. A lot of people could develop some sense of insecurity or resentment for, you know, and that's like a lot for somebody to deal with, especially when they don't themselves deal in the same field. So yeah, she's a patient woman.
Yeah, and
sure.
I think one thing that helps, and I really want to pull this to like your album after this, but I think the last thought I want to say here is, I think just it comes down to communication. Cause like, you know, as these things are happening, I always go to her, I'm like, yo, is this okay? Like, you know, are you okay with this? You know what I mean? Like, cause I like know it can be a lot, and it's like, there is like, and it's not even like it's like that crazy, but it's like, it's definitely ramping up a little bit.
Consideration is important. And that's something like I'm still working on with consideration. Mind you, I'm not talking to y'all as a finished product in love, relationship, or anything. I'm still actively working on things. I'm a very flawed individual, so I'm not reflecting from a place of like, oh, I've mastered this. I'm perfect now. I'm talking to you as somebody who I've been through the rigmarole, I've been through the ringer, and came out on the other side better, but still actively trying to grow and improve. And my current field of improvement that I'm looking at trying to work on is consideration. Actually, I was told how inconsiderate I was yesterday. So like, this is fresh. This is very relevant. Like, I'm working on that. I'm working on being more considerate because I am still the most important person in my story. And I have to learn to sometimes I gotta change the focus to a different subject. You know, shout out to my cameraman out there who might understand that. Like, you know, the focus is on you. Maybe we focus in on the background a little bit more than the foreground sometimes. You know what I mean? So we're working on that. Consideration. That's important in relationships and communication. You did say communication.
Yeah,
but
it's important. You know, I've been in this relationship with Sarah for almost 9 years now, and I think I'm still learning a lot, right? You
Right.
know what I mean? Where it's like, you know, there's a lot of issues in life that we haven't gone through yet that eventually will happen. Like, I'm not going to go like too dark with the pod, but you know, there's life things that are inevitable, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, and I don't think anything, like, I think I'll be really grateful to have Sarah when those moments hit, you know what I mean? But it's like, yeah, it's like tough, you know what I mean? There's a lot that we haven't experienced yet that, like, you know, things that stick in the back of your mind that
Yeah.
like are inevitable. So I'm just grateful. And
My last relationship, actually, again, not to make it too dark, and we'll get back to the album, but like my last relationship, like it really tests your ability to be there for somebody because in the last year, she lost her grandfather. I lost my grandfather, and I actually recently lost my grandmother.
yeah,
So
sorry
like,
for your loss, dude.
yeah, I appreciate that. And that's all in the 1 year span. We both lost 3 grandparents between us, and it's like, you know, how do you? There's no guide. Well, I'm sure there is. I'm sure there's books on it, but like, that's something you got to learn. You know, nobody knows how to deal with a partner during those type of times, and that's one of those times. One of those life events that really does test the strength of a relationship. You know, are you willing to be there with somebody during times like that?
Their hardest moments.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
And I
know?
think that is important too, because it's like any like relationship slash friendship, dude. You know, you hear of like, you know, you got to go with you to the bottom to see the top. You know what
Right.
I mean? It's all part of the game. But I want to talk to you about your process of creating this album. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, at what point are you like starting to create this album, and what does that process look like?
This album, it had a metamorphosis. Like, it started as one thing. It was supposed to be like a quick little mixtape with a whole, I don't think one song from the first draft of the original made it to the final. So like, this album, like, it shifted and bent and all types of things. And like, as I'm going through the situations that inspired the album, songs get cut off, songs get added, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, I want to talk about this. Now I have a POV on this. Now I want to add this here, you know? So, yeah, it went through a whole bunch of different life cycles. And I actually was looking at, you know, how Instagram shows you your stories like 1 year ago today. You
Oh,
posted
yeah.
I seen one from, I think it said like late 2022 that was like, from Stanford with love coming soon. And it's like, what if I could go back in time, some Marty McFly shit, and tell that version of Jet, what if I told you this album's not dropping for another 4 years? You know, it's like, and that's another thing. I don't want to ever spend this long on an album again while I'm at this current stage in my career. You know, like,
Understood.
I don't, there's no time to waste. you know, in a world where there's so much content being hammered by millions of different people, the second you ease off the brakes for too long, you're an afterthought, you're dust in the wind, et cetera, et cetera. In a way, if you're not like a super established artist, it's easy to get some momentum back because it's like, okay, you're not coming from there's the only way to fall off is to start from a high point, you know what I mean? And so if you're trying to keep climbing, you can pretty quickly gain momentum back. But you know, that's why massive artists, it's harder for them because when you reach such heights, there's nowhere to go but down, you know, back to my analogy about the mountaintop. So, yeah, I definitely have lost a lot of momentum over the years not dropping music. I spent way too much time overthinking mixes, overthinking concepts, overthinking, like, this song's not good enough. Let me go back in the workshop. And dude, nobody knows you. Put the fucking music out, bro. Put the fucking music out. Sometimes you just got to put the fucking music out. And I say this to the homies who are super talented and don't drop music. And I feel like now that's another like thing that has just shifted my perspective. It's like, dude, what are you going so sick about? You have to give yourself a chance. If you do not put out, if you have no output, it's not just for artists. It's not just for like music artists. This is for creatives specifically. If you don't have any output, you are giving yourself a 0% chance of success.
Oh yeah, dude. Trust me, I live by this. And you know, one thing I got to commend you on, because as someone who has known you for a very, very long time, right?
Right.
You know, I see you getting into this rollout now, and I see it as your homie. Some of your shifts, like your process is changing a little bit. Like your open-mindedness to like pushing certain social media content, and like, you know, I see you putting in the work, like, you know, some of the things that are quote unquote proven to work. Like I see you making these efforts that, you know, a lot of the time, like honestly, a past you would have written off, you know what I mean? So,
I mean, that goes to show like, that's like a testament to how much I believe in the music here. Obviously talent's not enough, right? But I just don't see the point in spending 3 years working on an album if you're not going to do the legwork after the album comes out.
It's like, more important, to be honest.
It is 100% more important. Like when this drops, I'm still in promo mode. You know, I feel like everyone thinks like, okay, it's done. Congratulations. That old clip of Kobe Bryant. What you saying congratulations for? What do you mean, Kobe? You're up 3-1. Is job finished? No, job not finished. Job's not finished. The album's out. Okay, now what are you going to do to get this in front of people's faces? And it's hard with artists and music specifically because there's no blueprint that's proven to work on every case. What, like you said, what might work for you might not work for me. What might work for Doss might not work for me. What might work for me might not work for you. Like, you know what I mean? So it's not a one size fits all thing when it comes to music. So you just got to figure out how to get into the places where you need to be. And when I say that, I'm not talking boardrooms or labels. I just mean like to get on playlists, to get in people's ears, to get in front of people's faces, like to get on stages. How do you do this? There's different paths to it for everybody. And yeah, like to speak on what you said about like learning the trick of the trade, like I've learned a lot from just watching your moves with social media. Like you've become quite the guru, you know, you've become a student of the game with the YouTube journey, you know what I mean? And I see it. Like I see you really taking it seriously. Like the same way that somebody who studies the stock market is constantly looking at, let's see what this stock's doing. Like you're doing that with the YouTube like trends and the way that people consume YouTube, because you treat it as the career that you clearly are pursuing. You know, you're taking it serious. That's and so like, you know, seeing the way that you've moved on social media, and and seeing what it's done for your life, especially like obviously the Macy's video, the way you flipped the Mr. Beast situation. It's like, yeah, like, what am I sitting here bitching about? Oh, the algorithm's not seeing me. Oh, why won't people just listen to my music? Well, what are you going to do to make people listen to your music? There's a million other artists that are better than you. There are a million artists that are worse than you. And
there could be artists that are worse than you that are just working harder too, dude.
But that's the thing. Like, there are probably a million artists better than me. Harder. I mean, yeah, depending on how you get that. But there's a million artists better than me, maybe. But are you outworking me? Like, you can be as talented as you want, but if, like I said, if your output is not there, if your content game's not there, like, you don't have to be a master, like, content creator personality, but like, you got to put something out. You got to show people, hey, like, I have product. Here's product, and I'm trying to find different cool creative ways to do it. Obviously, like, you've given me some ideas that I feel like, I don't know if that's reflective for my brand, but like, I could see that working for you. It's about taking some of the stuff I've learned from you and some of the stuff I've learned from other like artists that I see do content online, and seeing how I can
make it your own,
make it my own, and make it unique to me and make it true to me, where I don't feel like I'm like, I'm being disingenuous.
Well, that's even the biggest thing. Even when we were doing like the YouTube short the other day for you, we were going through lists of titles, and I was throwing one. You're like, no. Like, and then we're like, what about this one? You're like there, and you're like, well, maybe if I did it like this, and then you did it, and it ended up doing like decent for you. Obviously it's like a grind, but like, it's just finding out what works for you.
Well, I feel like every time one of these little things works, right? Just like an idea for a post that goes a little crazy, or,
it's like one step closer to the thing.
It feels like a piece of the puzzle's being solved. If we're doing like a big 1,000-piece puzzle, it feels like, okay, I just placed one in right there. I found where this lands. Here we go. We haven't figured the full puzzle out, but we're getting there.
Yeah, step in the right direction, dude.
Yeah. So it's definitely a gratifying feeling, because I'm actually starting to reach a point where it doesn't feel like a task to do. Like, I get excited at the thought of like thinking of, okay, I have a song, right? I want to do content. That word is so vague. Content. What does that mean? Is it a performance shot in front of a brick wall? Or is it like a video where you're tied to a car and, you cut away and you do some cool VFX? Like, I think that is cool to me, trying to come up with different ideas to cram into a like 15 to 40-second window to get people to stay and latch on to your product.
And I think another thing too is like, you start to not only fall in love with the process, the creative of it, but you enjoy the results, because if you have a goal of like becoming a more popular artist and like you want to see your stuff do well, when you do a video and then you see it translate directly into more people falling in love with your music, it's like, oh, you know what I mean? It's like A to B, you know what I mean? Like, if I do this, this will happen. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like, the more I do this, the more likely one of these is going to go crazy and get me to my inevitable goal of like making this like work how the way I want it to.
Right. And like, also like something I've been learning creatively in general is like implementing more of my personality.
It's so important, dude.
Like, I feel like I've been hearing the whole like, yo, you should do comedy shit for years, right? Like,
brother, you're funny.
I appreciate it.
If I tell a joke right now, dude.
Yeah, what's the deal?
No, but you're funny.
Yeah,
but even like as we do this podcast, like, bro, you are like,
I'm reserved right now.
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
yeah, but we've been talking about like more serious things on this thing. But bro, like, as your homie, bro, you are hilarious. I when I say you are my funniest friend. You know what I mean?
That's an honor.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
All 6 of them.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
See, right there, you sparkled for a second, dude.
Now do another one. Yeah. See,
it's coming out, dude. You're doing it. You like. You're
Come on, keep it going.
Yeah, you're letting it fly. You're crushing
Do this
right
for
now.
an hour.
Yeah.
What's it called? I'm learning to how to like implement more of my personality online. Like I feel like I was trying to keep like this certain persona. There you go. I was trying to keep this certain persona for a long time, and now I just feel like I'm loosening up and just realizing, I think more people will come on board if they like know who you are a little bit more.
Oh, it makes all the difference,
and
dude.
very much so in the music. I feel like the music on this album specifically, like I feel like the first full project, I feel like I allowed myself to be fully myself was Head Nurse, because it's like my goofier, more wacky side, right? From Stanford with Love, like it's still, it's not as goofy. It's a little more pulled back, but you get like little hints of it, right? But like even from the certain inflections and stuff, and like I'm singing a lot in this album. For a long time, I was pretty like, I don't know, like insecure about singing on my music, because I just was like, I can't sing and da 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 da. But with me working more over the last like year and a half with my band West Hill Road, like just singing live, singing on those tracks, like that's like pretty much an R&B group, you know what I mean? Like we're pretty much an R&B band. And so like that forced me to get out of my comfort zone more. And now when I jump into the Jet Perry music, I'm singing. Like, like you said, Vice Lavelle, like I'm singing on that hook, and I feel like I'm comfortable with hearing my voice melodically on my music now.
I'd agree. Even just like somebody who's like known you for a long time and like known your art. Like when I listen to From Stanford with Love, it's your best vocal performance. And I got something, dude. Ready?
Yeah,
Ready?
you did say Vice Lavelle's the one. I disagree, but I respect your opinion.
But I really love the vocal performance on that. But one big thing though, like because we talk about being your authentic self, right?
Right.
And in order, like listen, in order for you to be your true self, you need to know who you are. And I know that sounds, like of course I know who I am, but I think there's a lot of people out there who really don't.
Yeah.
They don't know.
Yeah.
Like I know, like for me, and I think you can know who you are and still learn more about yourself. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But, I think what happened for at least how I feel in this last year, I feel very in sync. I feel I know who I am. Like what you see is what you get, and it makes me more comfortable. Like, the Mike Squires you see on the internet, like you come hang out, same guy. You know what I mean? And like, I think the same with you, like it's coming through, like as I see you do your content stuff, especially with like the Even video you just posted, you know what I mean? Like, I think to me, that was like the most in sync, where it's like the Jet I know and the Jet I see online is like, what you see is what you get. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And I'm still working to truly sync those two bodies into one. It's like, the social media like public perception Jet Perry and like the true him. Like obviously you can't give the full true, like who your friends see all the way, but like I'm just trying to blend that a little bit more, mesh that into like one body, or get as close to it as you can, just because like people latch onto that. People now are drawn to people rather than like, oh, you're trying to sell me on something, right? Like, there are very few artists that can do the like mysterious thing anymore.
I think it's dead, dude. Like,
it's slowly dying. There are still some like Playboy Cardis out there, but Playboy Cardi's been on for years. Like Frank Ocean, obviously he's a fucking recluse, but on for years, so it of the modern, like the because I wouldn't even say Playboy Cardi's of this like this draft class per se, but like of the current artists, I want to say like if you're 28 and younger, like the mysterious thing is, I think it's dead. Like you gotta get people attached to the brand off who you are. And, if you're like not a big personality, but you're just like a great musician and, people are attracted to that, then they'll latch on. If you're like a goofy guy and you know, you like making jokes and da-da-da, but you also make good music, people are going to latch on. Tyler, the Creator, is a prime example. Like, I think Tyler's personality is what really, really helped.
If people fall in love with you as a person, everything else will be easier. It's just the truth of the matter. Yeah, I feel that way about, like, I don't think I'm the best at anything, to be honest.
You're a prime example of it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I see the kids in Stanford, they come up to you, Mike Squires, Mike Squires. It's like, because, I mean, you're selling your personality. Like, you do a bunch of different things. It's like,
I'm also just being myself, dude.
But yeah, it's like, hey, I'm here today to talk about my music. Hey, today I'm talking about this business. Hey, today I'm doing
and it
this
makes the whole
pop-up,
content
but like,
so much easier, dude, because I'm just filming exactly what I'm doing.
Exactly, but they're here regardless whatever you're talking about. Like, a lot of the time, they probably don't even care what you're talking about. It's like, yo, let's see what Mike is talking about.
Shenanigans, dude. I got one last question for you, Jet.
Yeah,
we're getting to the time limit, and this last question is important.
Oh, well. Yeah.
Recently, you posted, "I will be inevitable."
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that?
Everybody who looked past me, ignored a message, ignored a DM, you know, I sent a song to a DJ and they didn't get back to me, and anytime I've been passed up for any opportunities as far as live performances or a feature, or, you know, somebody that didn't come to a show, or any time I was disregarded, I want those people to feel, true regret deep in their soul in the next few years. I'll say the next few. That's what is 2 years. I will be inevitable to the point where it's like, damn, he's working. Maybe I should have tried to, you know, and I see it. I've seen it happen so many times where I'll have a friend and they're like, damn, yo, I used to go to school with him. Now he's producing for Young Thug, and damn, bro, like that true, like, damn, like, what? Damn, I should have tapped in with him. I should have stayed closer to him. Yeah, you can't predict it sometimes, but you could. So you could see it. You could see I'm going to be that. I'm going to be inevitable.
You sound like a super villain.
I don't give a fuck. I will be inevitable. I'll put it on camera. Anybody who ever looked past me, in the next few, you're through.
It's my Thanos. That was the snap.
Oh, yeah, the snap. Yeah. Thanos is truly one of the most inspiring.
All right, time to go, dude.
Figures of all time.
Time to go, dude.
Let's talk about that.
No,
Thanos
dude.
cooked. Thanos might have cooked, bro.
No, dude. No, dude.
I saw somebody,
we were doing so good. We went an hour.
I did see somebody online was like, yo, why didn't he just like double the resources in the universe? But I guess there was some, like, offline, he had said it's harder to create than to destroy with the reality stone. I don't quite remember what it was. I gotta go back and watch. Are you more of an Infinity War or Endgame guy?
Endgame guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Over Infinity War?
Yeah. Definitely.
Like, your preference, or you think it's better?
I think it's better.
Wow.
We don't need to talk about this right now. This is
we don't. That's a take.
Can you want to plug your album?
Yeah, sure. What's going on? It's your boy Jedi Jet P, a.k.a. Hans McGee, a.k.a. Vice Lavelle, a.k.a. Jet Perry. I am here to tell you, from Stanford with Love, my second album, it is going to be available on all DSPs on February 14th. February 13th, we're skating in the mall, Stanford Mall. Rollerland, CT, we're having the album release party, 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. We're going till 12 to the drop, till the album drops at midnight. We're going till midnight. After hours in the Stanford Town Center. Be there or you know what shape you are. Now, before we get to those things earlier in the week, or I should say, the remainder of this weekend and the week coming up, leading up to the album's release on DSPs, you can listen to the album right now. Yes, you can listen to the album right now if you follow that even link in my bio on Instagram. Or you can look up even.biz/from Stanford with love. There's dashes in between each words, from dash Stanford dash with dash love. LUV. You hit that pre-order button, you pay what you want, starting at $1, and you can get the full album, if you want to pay for $1, or if you want to pay for it with $1.
Does this link stay live? Like if, like, let's say months from now, like if someone just feels like they want to support you?
It's just going to be up there. It's just going to be one of those places you can listen to it. Like, sure, most
so if
people
people want to support, they can just go to the link of this, even if it's like after it's out.
Yeah, so even if the album drops and you want to support it by buying it, similar to how any album would drop on CD and you want to buy it in the stores, you can do that. It's going to be there on even.biz. Make sure you guys go check that out. Because why wait when you can have the album for even $1 if you want to? I mean, like I said, if I'm only worth $1, I don't know. Maybe I got to hit the coal mines, but anything is appreciated because to get $1 on streaming, you got to get a couple hundred streams. So we take back the power. It is important that artists value themselves and value their art. It's okay. People should be paying for music. Music shouldn't all be free, you know? And if you want to set your standards and set your boundaries and say, hey, my art is worth something financially, you're within your rights to do that. That's fine. And we will respect your decision. People don't need to buy it. But for those who do buy it, the real supporters, we love you, we appreciate you, and you keep this profession sustainable. And that's all I got to say about that. From Stanford with Love, publicly, will be available everywhere February 14th on all DSPs. And Mike Squires, I appreciate you having me on.
Appreciate you coming on, dude. Appreciate you coming on.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, let's go, dude. Another one in the books.
Yes, sir. Yeah, boy.